Welcome to the podcast that refuses to let you live on autopilot. This isn't about motivation quotes or someday plans. It's about real tools, clear decisions, and the strategies that turn intention into momentum. Your presenters are coaches and truth tellers who live this work. They help people break stuck patterns, cut through noise, and build lives that actually move forward. No theory, no fluff, just execution. This is for people done circling the runway, ready to choose growth over comfort, ready to build their best life on purpose. So lean in. Here are your hosts, Christine Baylor-Goodlander and Melanie Olivieri.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Melanie from Collaborative Growth Coaching. And I thought I would pop on today and do a special little podcast on independence and freedom. We all know that we're celebrating our 250th anniversary. And we think about independence, we think of terms in politics, history, but there's another type of freedom, the freedom we experience in our own lives. The Declaration of Independence, it wasn't simply a document. It was a decision to step forward, step away from things that were no longer serving a growing nation, and to move towards something better. In many ways, personal growth asks us to do the exact same thing. So, what is independence? Where does it start? I think it starts with taking personal responsibility. One of the greatest freedoms we have is making our own life's choices. We can't always control what happens to us, but we have control over how we respond. So that personal responsibility, it really means asking ourselves some questions. What part of any situation you're in is under your control? What choices are you making every single day? And who are you waiting for? Are you waiting for someone to rescue you, to motivate you? You waiting for someone to give you permission? How about doing that for yourself? Freedom isn't about having no responsibilities. Actually, responsibility creates freedom, right? It's the other way around. When we take ownership of ourselves, of our health, our finances, our relationships, our mindset, we stop living as victims and we begin living as the authors of our own story. So what would happen in our lives if we declared independence from our limiting beliefs? I mean, how many of us are caught in our own thoughts and held captive by them? Maybe you've told yourself, I'm too old to do that. I'm too old to start over. Or, I've failed before. Why should I try again? Or, I'm just not confident. Look at Mary Jane or Sue or Bob or whoever, and look at how confident they are. That's not me. Or success happens to other people. And I know, I get it. A lot of these fears, they develop from childhood experiences or disappointments we've had in our lives. But just because you've believed something for years, that doesn't make it true. The only place that makes it true is right here, and you can change this. Personal growth often begins when we recognize these stories. Then we start to question them. And you know what? We can choose to write a whole new chapter. All you gotta do is flip the page, just like an author, and start a whole new chapter. Imagine how different life could be if you declared independence from all those beliefs that have been holding you back. Here's one thing. Freedom, though, it requires self-discipline. You have to want it enough to work for it. People think freedom is just doing whatever you want, and it's really not. Lasting freedom comes through discipline. Financial freedom comes from spending wisely and from saving. Physical freedom comes from taking care of our bodies now, not 6 months, 6 years, 16 years from now when you get sick. Emotional freedom comes from learning to pause before you react. Stop, take a breath, then respond. So respond, don't react. Time and money freedom. Where does that come from? It's setting yourself as a priority. Instead of constantly, again, constantly reacting to what everybody else wants. What's their agenda? Have to set time and priorities for yourself. Discipline isn't punishment. It's not mom saying you have to. It's you saying, this is what I want to create, and this is what I need and choose to do to create it. If you choose it today, will it give you more freedom tomorrow or next week or next month? Every healthy habit that you choose, it's an investment in your future self. How do you make those choices? How do you find the courage to step into the unknown? The people who signed the Declaration of Independence, they had no guarantees of success. They simply believed that a better future was possible, so that it was worth the risk. Because if you don't take a step, you stay right where you are. So personal growth asks the same of us. And sometimes courage can look dramatic, but more often, what does it look like? It looks like applying for the job that would suit you better than the one you're in now. Maybe it means starting your own business or going back to school. How about this one? It means asking for help, asking for advice, asking to speak to someone who's already been in the situation you've been in and get their feedback, their advice. Maybe it's leaving. Maybe you're in a dead-end job. Maybe you're in an unhealthy relationship. Maybe the best piece of courage that you can drum up is stepping out on your own. Sometimes it's having a difficult conversation to save that relationship or try. And sometimes it's taking the step to say yes to that opportunity that scares you. It doesn't always come easily. And you have to face yourself and your fears. Growth takes discomfort. Change is uncomfortable. Our brain says, oh, we're good the way we are. We're safe. We're comfortable. But is that enough for you? What more do you want in your life? If you're waiting until you're feeling completely ready, you're probably going to wait forever. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Some people right now don't have the courage within themselves. For a long time, that was me. Many of us spend years trying to live up to everybody else's expectations. Mom, dad, boyfriend, husband, aunt, whoever, coworker, boss. Is that where you are right now? Are you trying to meet the expectations of everybody else in your life? Are you seeking approval from others? I've done it. It holds you in one spot. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Eventually you realize that it doesn't matter what you do, somebody is going to disagree with you. And then multiple somebodies are going to say, go for it, you can do this. True freedom comes when your decisions are guided by your values, not by somebody else's opinion. Ask yourself, am I living according to my own priorities? Or am I living to accommodate somebody else? Confidence grows every time we make a decision that aligns with our authentic selves. Go into your gut. What's the right decision for you? And if it's staying exactly where you are, that's fine. But if you're not so happy every day with the decision of where you are right now, can you look at that and say, what would make me happy? What would make me confident? What would finally give me the freedom to ... What do you want to do? Freedom's a journey. It's not a destination. Our story here in America didn't end in 1776 when they signed the Declaration. It started to grow from there. And to this day, everything in our lives continues to grow, to adapt, and to strive toward ideals. It is the way that life is supposed to be. Our personal freedom isn't something that we achieve once and then never think about again. It's a constant day to day. This is what works for me. And that's not saying that because it works for you, it's going to hurt somebody else. It's saying that you're standing in your own power. You practice it every single day. Practice it with the little things. You know, what decisions do you make on an everyday basis? And when you make them, do you make them with yourself in mind? Or with your loved ones and your family in mind? Or do you make it because somebody on the outside says, well, this was what everybody else is doing, so this is what you should do? Watch those words. Should is a big one. Every decision takes us either back into our own patterns or moving forward toward greater freedom. And that's not selfish. You can't help others. You can't be the best version of yourself without moving forward. Growth isn't about perfection, but it is about progress. And independence doesn't mean you have to go it alone. Sometimes we confuse independence with isolation. The truth is, even the strongest people need others. Freedom flourishes in healthy relationships. But to have a healthy relationship, you have a balance. And that's not saying it's 50-50 every day, every minute. Sometimes it's 90-10. And the next day it might be 80-20. Somewhere along the line, it balances out around that 50-50. You know, we need people to encourage us, to tell us the truth, because sometimes we don't want to hear it. So you have to have those friends or confidants or coaches or someone who will tell you, I know you think this is great. Here's how I see it. Even if we don't want to hear it. We need somebody that's going to help us hold ourselves accountable. Somebody that's going to help us celebrate our victories. And people that are going to walk beside us when life is difficult. Asking for support isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The strongest communities are built by people who understand both independence and interdependence. So consider this. What are you ready to declare independence from? What fear is making decisions for you? Or what limiting belief have you just accepted after all this time as truth? You know, just think, where are you right now? And where do you want to be a year from now? And what little changes can you make to become a little more independent, to have a little more freedom, and to take steps toward that dream? Our personal lives change because ordinary people believe that a better future is possible. It's true in so many things. And it doesn't happen all at once, but it happens one courageous decision at a time. Freedom isn't something we're given. It's something we choose to live every single day. So as we celebrate America's 250th anniversary, perhaps the greatest tribute we can make is to continue to pursue our own growth, our own courage, character, and purpose. So here's declaring independence from fear, self-doubt, unhealthy habits, and anything else that stops us from becoming the people we were created to be. So, to my American friends, happy 4th of July. To my Canadian friends, happy Canada Day. And to all of you, happy Independence Day. See you again soon. Bye for now.